Chapter 5. Clash of Wills. The day was heavy with humidity, typical for a Viridian 3 mid-morning, and the air vibrated with the luminescent glow of the forests, casting surreal hues across the landscape. Dr. Alara Miles stood at the edge of the clearing, her gaze fixed on the colossal structure that housed the colony's administrative hub. Today, she wasn't just a scientist, but a challenger about to contest the formidable director Gideon Frost. Alara's boots crunched lightly on the composite pathway as she approached the hub, her mind replaying every bit of data her team had gathered about the ancient artifact. The strange, almost sentient hum of the alien relic still echoed in her ears, a dissonant reminder of the unknowns they were tampering with. She rehearsed her arguments meticulously, anticipating Frost's objections. Inside the sleek modernist building, the air was cool and dry, a stark contrast to the organic dampness outside. Alara's steps were silent on the polished stone floor, her arrival unnoticed by the busy staff. She approached the reception, announcing herself, and was asked to wait. The walls around her were adorned with holographic displays of Viridian 3's development plans, a testament to Frost's vision of progress, a vision that now threatened to unbalance an entire ecosystem. Minutes later, she was ushered into Frost's office, a room that looked out over the dense, shimmering forests. The director stood by the window, his back to her, hands clasped behind him, as if he were commanding the view. "Dr. Miles, to what do I owe the pleasure?" Frost's voice was smooth, his tone practiced. He turned, his expression unreadably pleasant. Alara didn't miss a beat. "Director Frost, we need to halt the excavation around the artifact site immediately. My findings suggest that activating it could have catastrophic effects on the planet's biosphere." Frost's brow arched slightly as he walked around to sit at his desk, gesturing for her to do the same. "Catastrophic is a heavy word, Dr. Miles. Our engineers assure me the artifact is stable. Your concerns, though appreciated, seem speculative." She reached into her bag, pulling out a tablet to slide across the desk. "This isn't speculation. Look at these readings. The artifact's energy output spikes with certain frequencies we've initiated. It's not stable, it's responsive." Frost glanced at the data, his face unmoving. "Responsive doesn't necessarily mean dangerous. But it isn't inert either," Alara pressed, her voice a mixture of frustration and urgency. "We don't understand it fully. We must study it more before proceeding." Frost looked up, his gaze steely. "Dr. Miles, Viridian III isn't just a laboratory for scientific curiosity. We have to think about the colony, about human lives. And what of those lives if the ecosystem that supports them collapses?" Alara countered sharply. "We risk everything by ignoring the potential dangers." There was a brief silence as Frost considered her, his fingers tapping a slow, calculated rhythm on the desk. "Your dedication to your work is admirable, Dr. Miles. However, the Council has already approved the project. Progress cannot always wait for certainty." Alara stood, her resolve hardening. "Then I must appeal to the Council directly." Frost's smile was thin, almost predatory. "You should do what you must, Dr. Miles, just as I will do what I must for this colony." He stood, extending a hand in a gesture of dismissal. "Thank you for your concerns." As Alara walked out of the office, the door sliding shut With a soft hiss behind her, she felt the weight of the impending storm. Her mind was clear, though. She would fight. For Viridian III, for its unseen voices, for its hidden depths. The battle lines were drawn not just in the sands of the alien shores, but within the very halls of human ambition. Chapter 6. The Alliance Forms. The night on Viridian III was unlike any on Earth. The forest glowed with a mesmerizing spectrum of blues and greens, casting ethereal light onto the delicate faces of flowers that bloomed only in the darkness. Dr. Alara Miles stood at the edge of the luminous woods, her gaze fixed on the undulating lights as if they whispered secrets of the ancient world beneath their radiant veneer. Behind her, the colony buzzed with the usual nocturnal activities. Machinery hummed in the distance, and the occasional laughter of settlers echoed in the cool air. But Alara's mind was leagues away from these human sounds, entrenched in the alien calls that punctuated the night, the low growls of distant creatures, and the rustle of unseen beings flitting through the undergrowth. She turned back to the prefabricated buildings that formed the heart of the colony, her resolve steeling her for what she was about to do. Inside her small, cluttered office, a hologram projector flickered to life, casting the gentle blue light of an incoming call across her determined face. "Are we all here?" Alara's voice was calm, but carried an undercurrent of urgency as she addressed the small group of scientists and settlers who appeared as spectral images around her table. They were a chosen few, each sharing her concerns about the colony's direction under Director Gideon Frost's relentless expansion. "Yes, but we must be quick. Frost's surveillance has increased," one of her trusted colleagues, a botanist named Theo, replied, his image flickering with the poor connection from his outpost on the other side of the settlement. Alara nodded, her eyes flicking between the attendees. "We don't have much time. The artifact, I've found something unsettling. It's not just ancient technology, it's bio-interactive. It responds to environmental changes and, potentially, to specific biosignatures." A murmur of concern passed through the group. "Are you saying it could be activated accidentally?" queried Dr. Lena Zhou, a geologist whose expertise in alien mineralogy had proven invaluable. "Exactly," Alara confirmed. "And if Frost initiates his deep drilling project near the artifact's location, the consequences could be catastrophic. We've already seen minor fluctuations in the local ecosystem when preliminary surveys disturbed the ground." The group absorbed this, the gravity of the situation settling over them like the heavy, humid air of Viridian's nights. "What do you propose?" asked a new voice. Raj, a communications technician and the unofficial leader among the settlers in the group. "We need to gather more data discreetly. We need to understand exactly how this artifact interacts with its environment, and possibly find a way to shield it from Frost's activities," Alara explained, her mind racing through the logistics of such an endeavor. Theo interjected, "I might have something. There's an old sensor grid left over from the initial surveys of this region. It's offline, but I can bring it up without drawing attention. It could help us monitor any changes without stepping into the restricted zones." "That's perfect, Theo," Alara said, a flicker of hope threading through her words. "Raj, can you secure our communications? Make sure Frost doesn't find out what we're up to." Raj gave a grim nod. I'll handle it. I can reroute our transmissions through old weather satellites. It'll be slower, but off the grid. As plans were laid and tasks assigned, Alara felt a weighty bond forming among them. This secret alliance was more than a scientific endeavor. It was a commitment to safeguarding a world that was not their own. It was a pact sealed under the glow of an alien sky, in the shadow of towering challenges yet to be met. The meeting ended with a silent agreement, each member disappearing from the holographic display to carry out their parts. Alara turned off the projector, the room plunging into darkness, save for the soft glow of the moonlight streaming through her window. Outside, the sounds of the night resumed, as if the planet itself was watching, waiting to see whether its new inhabitants would prove themselves worthy custodians or unwitting destroyers. Alara looked out into the night, her resolve as clear as the bioluminescent light filtering through the leaves. There was much to do, and the future of Viridian 3 hung delicately in the balance. Subscribe for more.